Because of why I search the deep through endless nights, no time to sleep. The call inside I can't deny. I'll find the light because of why.
Hey everyone and welcome. Today we're jumping into a really interesting economic puzzle, and it's happening right in the middle of the European Union.
So picture this. You're wandering through the gorgeous streets of Bucharest, you find this amazing little coffee shop, and when you go to pay, you're not pulling out euros. Nope, you're using the Romanian leu. Now, Romania joined the EU all the way back in 2007. So what gives? Why hasn't it switched to the euro like so many of its neighbors? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
All right, let's get right into it. Joining the Eurozone, it's not something you just sign up for. The best way to think about it is like trying to get into a super exclusive club that has this incredibly tough entrance exam. You can't just walk in. You have to prove your economy is solid, stable, and totally ready to play by the exact same rules as all the big players. Now, this exam has a fancy official name, the Maastricht criteria, but really, it's just a checklist of 5 big economic goals. You've got to show you can keep your prices stable. That means low inflation. You have to prove your government finances are in good shape, which means keeping your annual budget deficit and your total national debt under control. And finally, you have to show your currency and interest rates are stable and moving in sync with the rest of the Eurozone.
Okay, let's pause on one of those for a second because it is absolutely key to this whole story. The budget deficit. All this means is when a government spends more cash than it brings in from taxes in a single year. A tiny deficit isn't the end of the world, but a big one, that's a massive red flag for the Euro Club.
You know, to really get what's happening in Romania, it actually helps to look right next door. Let's check out how its neighbor, Bulgaria, managed to pass this exact same test and is now on the fast track to adopt the euro. It gives us the perfect measuring stick for what success looks like.
And here it is, Bulgaria's report card. And as you can see, they pretty much aced it. Their inflation just squeaked in under the limit. Their public debt, super low, way below the maximum allowed. And that all-important budget deficit, they hit the 3% target right on the money. Green check marks all the way down.
Okay, so that's what an A-plus paper looks like. Now let's swing our attention back to Romania and see how its report card stacks up. Where are the problem areas?
And, yep, right away, the numbers point to one major hurdle that's causing most of the trouble: the state of the government's finances. And the number one issue within that? You guessed it, it's that budget deficit again.
So let's just nail down this rule. The Maastricht criteria are super clear on this. A country's yearly budget deficit absolutely cannot be more than 3% of its total economic output, or its GDP. It's a hard line in the sand, and that 3% is the magic number to remember.
So, with that 3% target in mind, where is Romania? Well, according to the European Commission, their forecast for 2024 is a deficit of 6.9%. So, yeah, that's not just missing the target, that's more than double the limit. This chart just illustrates the size of the problem perfectly. On the left, you've got the target, that 3% line. And on the right, you've got Romania's reality, all the way up near 7%. Closing that gap is basically the biggest piece of homework the country has to do if it wants to get into the Eurozone.
And it's not just the deficit either. Inflation has also been a real sticking point. While the target for Bulgaria's successful test was down around 2.8%, Romania's inflation rate at the end of 2023 was way up at 8.4%. So that's another key test they're currently failing.
So, this all leads to the big question: why is the deficit so high? And maybe more importantly, what's the plan to get it under control? Let's take a look at what's going on under the hood. Romania's own fiscal council explains it really clearly. The problem is coming from 2 directions. The government isn't bringing in enough money from taxes, and at the same time, it's spending too much on what they call permanent expenditures. Think of these as fixed costs, like government salaries and social benefits, that are really hard to change from one year to the next.
Now get ready for this number because it's pretty wild. In 2023, almost 85 cents of every single dollar, or leu, I should say, that the government collected in taxes was spent on just 2 things: public salaries and social assistance. That leaves almost nothing left over for things like investing in infrastructure, and it makes cutting spending incredibly difficult.
So, what's the way out of this?
Well, the Fiscal Council has pretty much laid out the roadmap. 1. Romania needs a serious, long-term plan to fix its budget. 2. It has to get a grip on those permanent costs. 3. It needs to get way better at actually collecting the taxes that people and companies already owe. And 4. It has to make better use of the billions in EU funds that are available to help grow the economy, which would naturally bring in more tax money.
So really, the main takeaway here is this. Romania is legally required to adopt the euro one day. It wants to, but getting there isn't as simple as flipping a switch. It's about passing that really strict economic exam, and right now the country has some serious studying to do, especially when it comes to balancing its books.
And that brings us to the big, forward-looking question. Romania's economy is actually growing, which is great. The real challenge is whether its political leaders can make the very tough and, let's be honest, often unpopular decisions about spending and taxes that are needed to finally get its finances in order and join the Euro Club.
So what do you think? Are we going to see euros in Bucharest anytime soon? I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. And hey, if you learned something today, please hit that like button and share this with anyone you think would find it interesting. And of course, make sure you subscribe for more explainers just like this one. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Because of why I search the deep through endless nights, no time to sleep. The call inside I can't deny. I'll find the light because of why.